All right, everyone, Mix 1041. We are joined by Senator Bob Corker. Senator, how are you, sir?
Steve, it couldn't be better. Thank you. Hope you are.
Well, we're doing good. We wanted to have you on today to talk about the current situation in our nation. Of course, you're uniquely suited to comment on it. Let me read a couple of tweets that you posted a few days ago, really last week. Quote, "I'm saddened that some senators plan to undermine our democratic process against the American people, not politicians, the right to elect our president." That was 2 days prior to the riots. Then on the day of the riots, you did say, quote, "The American people are witnessing the true character of Donald Trump today and the culmination of his actions." Senator Corker, what do you make of the last week or so?
Well, anybody who cares about our country has to be deeply saddened by what happened at the Capitol. I can't imagine anybody is anything but that. But if you look at all the events that created the context or the environment for that to happen, where we had a president who was telling people untruths about the election. We had elected officials in both houses of Congress who were helping hardworking Americans who are out there and don't trust the media, but their leaders were telling them that there was really a way to overturn this election. I mean, that is an assault on democracy, and I'm saddened that people would take that route, cause people to believe, and then the president to cause people to believe that Vice President Pence could overturn it by just sitting in the chair and overturning it. So it's been a series of untruths that unfortunately millions of Americans have believed, and that's what led to what happened at the Capitol this week or last week.
Senator Bob Corker joins us. Senator, I know you have friends in the United States Senate all over Capitol Hill. What are you hearing from them? How are they talking to you about all that's happening up there?
You know, I don't really talk a great deal with them. I've texted some this week. I think all of them are looking seriously. I don't know whether there's actually going to be a trial, an impeachment trial or not, but I think many of them are obviously looking seriously at the charges. And should it happen, I think many of them anyway, will try to carry out their duties based on the facts that are presented. But, it's a terrible, let's face it, Steve, so many of them were unwilling to say the election was over, which it was. Okay. They were unwilling to say it because they were trying to humor the president and trying to keep him on board until the Georgia election was over. And now I think looking back on it, this is just me saying this. They have not said it. I'm sure they wish they had not done that because they helped build this untruth that maybe the election wasn't over. Instead of calling it, as soon as the Electoral College met, or candidly, even a day or two after it was named that Biden was named, instead of just saying, yes, we congratulate President-elect Biden, by trying to humor the president and keep him on board so that they could attempt to win the Senate races in Georgia that ultimately were lost. They, in essence, kind of furthered this myth out there to millions of hardworking Americans that somehow or another the election could be overturned, which is unfortunate.
We're joined by Senator Bob Corker this morning. In your knowledge and your time in Washington, what do you expect from the incoming Biden administration?
Well, look, I know Joe well. I served with him when I first went into the Senate. Steve, as you know, I went on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee because I just wanted to be a better senator. I was a business guy, right? I built shopping centers around our country and was the mayor of a city and served as commissioner of finance, but I was obviously weak in foreign policy. And so I went on the Foreign Relations Committee and lived on it, camped on it, went to every hearing. Joe Biden was the chairman of the committee at that time. And then I worked closely with him when he was vice president, had many meetings with him. Look, I did not vote for Biden and I did not vote for Trump. I voted for a person who I thought had exemplified the best of the Republican Party over the course of the last several months. It was a write-in. But look, I think Biden will attempt to unify the country. I wish he hadn't said some of the things he said over the last week, but I think it's his nature to try to speak to the better angels of Americans, and I wish him well in doing that. Again, I don't support many of the policy initiatives that he will attempt to pursue, but I think with having a few conservative Democrats in the Senate, not many, maybe the excessive issues won't come to fruition. So
We're joined by Senator Bob Corker. You bring up the Foreign Relations Committee where you were the chairman, and so you have a unique view of how the world is looking at us in this country. What do you think the world view is of the United States right now?
well, look, I think it's very unfortunate that we've been as everyone else has said, but we've been a beacon to the world. We really have. I mean, we are that shining city on the hill that other democracies look to. We are the example people point to. Steve, I wish you and other people here in Bradley and Hamilton and East Tennessee could see how the United States of America has been held in esteem and looked to for leadership. And so now they see the Capitol being overrun. They see a president who's demagoguing issues, telling untruths. Americans believe it. And they really question our country right now. And let's face it, these fledgling democracies, we're the folks that have kind of helped them move along to more mature democracies. And actually, Steve, I think the wake-up call for all of us is that we may think that in a mature republic, which is what our country is, that you couldn't turn into some autocratic country, but this is a fragile. You've got to have, our leaders have to have character. We've got to have a moral foundation in our country for a democracy to continue to flourish. And we've certainly not exemplified that recently, been a terrible example to other countries around the world. And there's no question that our country right now is greatly diminished as to the way people perceive it because of a lot of actions over the last 4 years, but certainly over the last couple of months.
We're joined by Senator Bob Corker here on Mix 104.1. You, in some public comments, I believe, in the last week or so, talked about the Iranian nuclear deal and talked about the new administration and whether or not, I guess, not re-entering that deal. Is that right?
Yeah, Steve, if you look at what's happened over the last 4 years, any Republican president would have, appointed conservative judges. Any Republican president would have tried to do pro-growth tax reform. Any Republican president would have tried to do appropriate deregulation to cause our economy to flourish. One thing the president has done that is unique to him is what he's done in the Middle East. And between moving the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, ending the Iran deal, which was flawed. And as you know, Steve, I led the opposition, forced Congress to be able to have a say in that agreement. But also with the inroads he's built with the Arab community, the Arab countries, it has changed the Middle East, and he should be credited for that. It is a major foreign policy accomplishment that, in fairness, is unique to him. And had he touted those types of things instead of, having personal grievances and purposely trying to divide our country, the election outcome might have been different than it was. So, the Iran agreement is flawed. I hope that President-elect Joe Biden is not going to try to immediately step back into it. I hope he'll realize that President Trump has actually accomplished a great deal in the Middle East that he can build upon.
Joined by Senator Bob Corker. Senator, let me just a couple more questions. One of those, the future of the Republican Party, and I know you're a longtime Republican, and so there are polls out even this morning that say that President Trump still has a significant amount of support, even in light of what happened at the Capitol last week. Anywhere from, depending on what you look at, 30 to 40% of the Republican Party identifies himself with President Trump. What is, in your opinion, in your estimation, the future of the Republican Party?
Well, look, I'm in spite of some of the, I think Republicans ought to celebrate some of the accomplishments over the last 4 years that have been positive. But from my perspective, never want the type of leadership that we've had to ever return to the Capitol again. I mean, I'm sorry, stating non-truths nonstop, engaging in demagoguery is not the Republican Party. It's not our country. And so, while I wish another Republican president was coming in instead of President-elect Biden, I'll be really happy to see President Trump go. And I think I hope never to return again. And so I hope there's going to be a debate in the Republican Party over what being a Republican actually means. As a matter of fact, I'm positive that is going to happen. I know there's a little background there, but I'm positive that a debate like that is going to occur over the next 4 years, where we really decide what we are. Are we folks who, first of all, I would start by saying, Steve, I hope we're going to be pro-democracy. Okay, that would be a good start. Yeah. But certainly, caring about the fiscal issues of our country, caring about our role in the world. We've gone far away from some of the roots that I came into the Republican Party with, and I hope we're going to have a fulsome debate. And I think we got a lot of talented people. There'll be people who are trying to carry on the Trump mantle, maybe President Trump himself. And there'll hopefully be a group of people trying to carry out a little bit different approach, maybe a lot different approach to how we govern our country.
Senator Bob Corker, I have asked you this question many times before. I will ask you once again. Your name has definitely been brought up for the Republican nomination in 2024. Is that something you would think about or even consider?
Steve, I think all of us, when we look at where our country is, I mean, I don't think anyone would have thought what could have happened at the Capitol could have happened 6 months ago. I think all of us, with whatever various abilities we have, need to figure out, you included, other people that you and I know, we all need to figure out the most appropriate role that we can have in helping make our country, our communities, our state stronger. I have no thoughts whatsoever about I don't know what that is for a guy like me. I'm coming on your program today to obviously express a very different point of view than some of our other local representatives. I want to be a voice in the future of our country. I think I've earned the right to be able to speak about things that are important. As far as what that ultimately means, I know I'm doing some, as I talked to you the other day at the car dealership, I'm doing some interesting things in business. I'm really a businessman at heart. Okay. So Steve, I don't know what the future holds, but I do want to be involved in the conversation of where our country goes. And again, I think all of us are alarmed at what we see as tremendous fragility right now in where our country is today, and how we've got to strengthen ourselves, restore ourselves, cause ourselves to be less divided and more unified towards goals that make our country better.
Well, bottom line is you didn't say no, so let's just go there.
Yeah, and I didn't say yes, and I'm not being coy. And I just think we've got to, Steve, we got a lot of talented people out there, and we really do. We've got a lot of talented people in the Republican Party. I've never been one of those people that wakes up thinking I got to be the person, I've got to be it. I'm fine being a cheerleader for somebody else who's really, really good. And I hope we're going to have a nominee, whoever that might be in 2024, that is has a strong foundation, has a great vision for our country, and has the ability to implement it. And I hope to be a part of that conversation as to where we go. So.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for spending time with us. So appropriate at a time like this. And as we end one administration, we go to another one on the 20th next week. So thank you, sir, very, very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.